as a team, we all know we have that huge target on our back. Coming off 3 straight championship wins, we're obviously going to try to make our best run into the tournament and into the final game. But I think everybody knows that, sure, it's high school lacrosse, but we have a job to do. We, as seniors, want to finish our career as best as possible.
Always some pressure, but it's mostly business. We know what we're doing. We know what our goal is. We're going to work as hard as we possibly can to get back to where we've been the past 3 years. We want to win that 4th one. So
I'm more worried about complacency. I think for these guys, it would be very easy for them to roll in and assume that, we're destined to win this again, and we're gonna go out on top, and they may be. But what we talked about in our preseason meeting here is that we can't take anything for granted. Yes, we have a ton of talent coming in, but you guys wanted a hard schedule. We ramped that schedule up. We're playing Sauhegan this year. We're playing Exeter. We're playing a good Westwood, Massachusetts team, on top of all the usual teams that are going to be gunning for us: Portsmouth, Wyndham, Winnicott, Goffstown, Hollis Brookline, all these teams that in the past have given us great games that every single time we go out on the field, they're going to want to knock us off.
What we need to work on is developing everyone as a team. So like the 5 of us as seniors or captains, we have been playing lacrosse for 10 years now. So we all are familiar with the game. We all know what we're doing. There are players on the team that are new, and it's finding that right balance. And our depth might not be the same as what we've had maybe my freshman year, my sophomore year. So it's bringing in those other players to fill in key roles. And I think that's what we as a team should be focusing on to make sure that we're all getting on the journey and going together.
I think the biggest thing is leadership. We've all had, I think, some definite leadership since sophomore year. So I think being, the big men on campus now, we're going to have to step up, be the leaders we know we all can be. We've been leaders on our club teams because the main 5 guys, the captains, we've been on the same team. We got the chemistry. We know what to expect from each other. And I believe that if we show the leadership we know we can all have, we will have a very productive season.
I think one thing that we all have to do is we kind of have to get out of our junior mindset and maybe humble ourselves a little bit more. I feel like we've all done a really good job of doing that and trying to be inclusive with the younger guys, but definitely trying to relax, not trying to be the team savage or the cool guy on the team, really focusing on what's going to be best for the team. I think that's definitely what I, at least, what I'm going to be focusing on as much as I can be.
If the pressure was going to get to them, it would have gotten to them the last 2 seasons. If we lose this year, it's not going to be because the pressure's on us. It's going to be because another team played a great game, and maybe we didn't play our best game that day. So that's why I think we purposely scheduled a little bit harder than we have in the past, and we're going to work really hard because we don't want to walk away from the field losing a game because we didn't play our best that day. We want to make sure if we're going to get beat, somebody else is going to have to play really well to beat us this year.
I mean, it's great, but it means nothing unless you win the game at the end of the year. And first of all, you have to get to that game as well. So I try and think of it as just one day at a time. That if you get a little better every day, you'll be fine and on the right path. I haven't really thought about it in that it's the longest streak in the nation, so the pressure hasn't been there. And I hope that I can keep the pressure not there because, if the goal is, again, to get better, and it's not to win the game at the end of the year. It's not to have a streak. So,
for me, it's amazing to have the win streak, but in the end, it doesn't matter unless you finish that final game and you win that game, and you go home dumping the Gatorade on Hetler, or you go home with a trophy in your hand or a medal, just a medal. So I think the win streak, sure, it shows how successful we've been, but it really comes down to winning that final game because, sure, we could beat a team 20-1 in a regular season, but as playoffs come around, everybody's different. Everybody has a different mindset, and everybody's looking to beat us.
The streak, to me, it's honestly really exciting. Obviously, it's really exciting, but that's not our goal necessarily. Our goal is to be able to make sure that we get to playoffs and we win all throughout playoffs and win the championship. That's our goal. So anything else along the way is just an added bonus. That's the way I think most of us look at it, at least.
It's great to think about that because it's something that you always keep in the back of your mind. Like, we're actually doing this. But again, at the end of the day, the most important thing is getting back to Billball Stadium, winning the championship.
I think it's a sense of pride that we have in what we've done. It means that we've gone out and played the games in front of us, and we've done the best we could every single time we've gone out there, and we've won the games that are in front of us. You know, I think there's a lot of teams in New Hampshire and other places that could go on long winning streaks, but it all depends on the strength of your schedule. You know, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but I'm proud of these guys. Like, we've had a schedule in front of us, and we've won everything that's been in front of us, and if we do it again this year, they'll really be able to walk away knowing that, wow, we challenged ourselves, we pushed ourselves to where our level is for a school and for a school our size and the roster size that we have, and I think, so if it continues, that's great, but like we said, we just want to win that last game again.
I think it went great. The team was all hanging out together. We were all gelling, and then on the field, that chemistry that we were building off the field, which was part of the trip, we got to incorporate on the field, and we were working our slides on defense. We were all gelling in that situation, and the offense was running through some of the offense too. So feeling good for this week.
Last week was really good. I think it brought the team closer together, just having to spend that time with everybody in the parks and especially on the field. We got some good experience, you know, figuring out connections on attack and defense and kind of learning the players, the new players, and kind of how everybody works together. And I think overall it was just good that we had the time away from, you know, the school and our parents or everything to hang out with each other, especially, and you know, we kind of had like a no phone rule at dinner, so we met everybody and we met the new players, and it was really good for all of us, I think.
They got a lot more exposure to what we're all about at Derryfield and kind of the culture of Derryfield lacrosse. More than anything, I think it was a good kind of just team bonding trip. We spent a lot of time in the parks, like 5, 6, 7 hours a day. So got to all hang out with each other, team dinners, lunches, breakfast. Overall, just a really good bonding experience.
I think we did a lot of good lacrosse, as well as I think that there was a lot of team bonding, which is what I went into it hoping for. And I'm glad that it worked out the way it did.
From the standpoint, you know, chemistry and having fun and things like that, we had a blast on there. The weather was good. First day we got down there was a little bit of showers and things like that, but the kids had, you know, it was 70 degrees and rain, so the kids, they didn't get to play in mud very often. That was a lot of fun. And then after that, every day at practice was great. We had a couple early morning practices, and I offered to change them. The kids were like, nope, let's go, let's get the job done. And then we got to go to the parks. We had a blast down there.
I think the team chemistry is pretty big, but we go to a very small school, so we all kind of know each other. We all really know each other very well. But kind of like when we're playing lacrosse together, that week period in Florida, we would have like almost 10 practices. So with those 10 practices, we really get to know each other from lacrosse sense as well, tendencies, a lot of different stuff. So I think it helps us out in a wide variety of ways.
You know, in 20 years, I know for me, I'm not going to look back and remember doing all these different drills. I'm going to remember what we did in between, you know, practices and going to lunch and stuff like that, going to the parks. Those are things that I'll remember. So that's what I put an emphasis on.
I think what I got out of it is I saw we have a lot more depth than I thought we were going to have this year. We get to play a lot of kids throughout the week. We've got a lot of sophomores stepping up that need to step up this season. So from my standpoint, it was really fun to see guys taking on roles that we're going to need them to take on to supplement some of the other more experienced guys
So
this
I
year.
think definitely going down a trip, like you're on the airplane together, you're in the rooms together, like you're with each other 24/7. So it's definitely all about building that team chemistry. This week it's a little more like we're at practice, and then we go home, and we don't see each other until the next practice. But I think the goal of this week is just to continue building on what we built last week. It'll of course build slower than it did last week, but if we keep the momentum going, I think we'll be in a good place.
System when we came out, the sun was just coming up and it was a little cold, but then you get the energy, you get all the guys here. We didn't have everybody down in Florida, and so everybody's all excited, they're smiling, they're ready to go. I get to wear my grout fit. This is best time of the year. I don't have to think about what I'm putting on
I
in
had
the
to
morning.
grab a pair of shorts when I was leaving the house. Like I didn't even grab sweatpants at first, so that was kind of a slap in the face because I thought it was supposed to be like 50 today, which was very disappointing. Very disappointing.
For me, I'm like more of a cold weather player. I don't mind throwing on like the sweatshirt and sweatpants. Of course, the sun is really nice. Get a little suntan and whatever. So that's a good time. But reality is we play in New England. Kind of got to be ready for the conditions. So I think it's good that we do the 1 week in Florida and then the 1 week back here at Derryfield just to acclimate to the weather.
It's pretty cold in the morning when there's no sun and it's pretty cloudy, so everybody's got their grout fits on, everybody's bundled up. But I think although it is pretty big difference, we still kind of just put our heads down and work.
It was definitely a shock, but I mean, we're used to it here in New Hampshire. So put on some clothes, put on some latex gloves, and you'll be good to go.
I didn't know what to expect. We lost two great attackmen last year, and Eric Mayer and Connor Glossner, and having to replace kind of the chemistry that they had with Johnny Mack and with Gunner. That's something that we've got to work on, and we've got two sophomores, Ryan Etzo and Nathan Dudley, playing that left-hand side, working in there. And then we're trying some other people in there so that we can move Johnny Mack up to midfield at times. So we did a lot of stuff throughout the week where we played around with different lines and seeing who worked well together. We've got some new guys at the midfield. We've got to find some defensive middies. Definitely the talent is there. Now it's just trying to figure out who works well with each other, and that's what we really used last week for, and what we'll kind of use this week for too.
I thought it looked good today. It was nice to be back out on this field for my last senior year. I think a lot of for the people who didn't go on the Florida trip, you could kind of notice like they were a little bit more rusted than the other guys maybe, or maybe a little bit behind in the conditioning or whatnot. But everyone catches up at their own speed, and I'm full confidence everyone will catch up at some point. So we I don't know, pretty nice day out though, so no complaints.
This is the focus week. So this, like the week before, that's kind of the introductory course, I guess, to like Hetler's Lacrosse. This is Hetler's Lacrosse this week. There's definitely a few guys that were caught off guard when he'd yell at them or something to get them to focus up, and because last week that was fine, but this week we're serious now, so a lot of the guys just have to get ready for that. About building chemistry with everybody in here. We're still building those relationships and growing them, but we're really trying to dig in how to play the defense, what plays to run, and how do we set up how do we essentially score, and if we don't score, how do we get back on D and stop them and have another opportunity to score. Throughout the course of the week, we start seeing, as we're getting ready for scrimmages or later in the week or later in the season, that we really start to see all the gears click with all the guys, and that's always a really special thing to see.
We're all about repetition this week, all about reps. I mean, our first 2-hour session was probably 30 minutes of stretching, getting warmed up, and then the rest was really just stick work, shooting, passing, getting the sticks dialed in. I don't know, because if you can't hit the net, you can't score goals. And I know the defense is working a lot of footwork, but as well they were also working on shooting and passing, because we take pride in our stick skills here, take pride in our lacrosse IQ. So we like to play more of the mental game rather than kind of being like a brutal punisher out there for all of our guys.
Kids were great again today. I mean, I think we could have. They would have let me go for 8 hours if we could. So we got a solid 4 hours in today, but we always say today is the easy day, right? Because everybody's all energized and excited. Now we're gonna see what's it like when you get to Wednesday and Thursday, when if you're not stretching properly, you're not drinking enough water. So that's the other big thing I think you probably noticed during practice here. We're really trying to make an effort to make sure that everybody's staying healthy. We're doing a lot of stretching. We're trying not to sacrifice practice time, but we want to make sure that we're in good shape going into the season.
I think for us this week is really about kind of learning who's going to make the plays for us, who's going to step up for us, and people finding their roles on the team. Everybody wants to be the shooter and the big goal scorer, but I mean, you can't have 30 guys on the team that want to do that and that do that. So a lot about what this week is for me personally, and watching the other players, I think, is about learning your role on the team. Even if you've been a 4-year starter, you're gonna have a different role. Or even if you're, you first try, this is your first year playing lacrosse, your role is something brand new to everybody. So I think that's really what this week is about, and what the upcoming game is about.
I mean, for the most part, our guys have done a great job in the offseason of working on their stick skills and getting them where they need to be. We do a lot of that just because we like to have an up-tempo practice. We like to get a lot of touches. We do a lot of shooting drills. But really, this week is also going to be about installing, right? We're going to put in our base offense, our base defense, man up and man down, rides and clears, things that we started to do in Florida, but we didn't have everybody there together. The kids have homework tonight. They've got to go home. They've got to look over in the playbook, what we put in today, come back so they can ask questions. And each day we're going to build on that. And hopefully by Saturday we kind of see, not a finished product, but how it's going to start to look throughout the season this year. So that big thing this week, the coaches, we wrote out a big to-do list, all the things we want to install this week, all the things we want to review.
I want to see the defense gelling as a cohesive unit, talking through everything. And then on the offensive side, I want to see just the movement staying there, so no one's staying still. We're always continuing to move. And then I think big picture is this week's going to be a grind with 2 double sessions each day again. So if we can stay healthy, and then come Saturday, I just want to see that energy, that grit ready to go. And I think if we bring that energy, I think we'll be